Today we're going to read Jamie O'Rourke and the Giant Potato. Jamie O'Rourke was the laziest man in all of Ireland. He would do anything to avoid work, and especially if it had to do with growing potatoes. Jamie O'Rourke, his wife Eileen, would say, "We'll have nothing to eat this winter if you don't go out and dig up the praties." "Oh, the saints preserve us," Jamie would whine. "Me back's as sore as can be. Sure as I'm telling you, wife, you'll have to dig 'em up yourself. I'll break in two if I so much as get up out of this bed." So Eileen, who had done all the planting and watering and weeding anyhow, would go out to the tiny garden and dig up the smallest potatoes in Ireland, all because Jamie was too lazy to dig a larger garden and had no money to buy good potato seed. That Jamie wasn't helpful, was he? No, he was being very lazy. We have to do our work. Let's see what happens. Well, then poor Eileen wrenched her back and was laid up in bed. Saint Bridget and the Virgin Mary herself must have smiled on Eileen O'Rourke, the village women said. Why, it's the first rest she's had since she married Jamie O'Rourke. With Eileen in bed, Jamie began to worry. No Eileen to dig meant no praties all winter, and no praties meant no food. "Oh, poor me," wailed Jamie, "I'll starve to death. I'd best go to church and confess to Father O'Malley. There's no telling how soon old death will be knocking on my door." Well, now Jamie began to worry. He should have been worried before when he was not hoping Eileen. So even though it was midnight, Jamie set out for the church. He was about halfway down the hill when he heard singing and a tap, tap, tapping sound. Oh, what could it be? Let's keep reading and find out. "Sure, and I wouldn't be knowing," Jamie whispered, "but I swear it's a leprechaun." And sure enough, sitting in a circle of ferns in the moonlight was a leprechaun, singing and hammering tiny nails into the heels of fairy boots he was making. Jamie knew just what to do. He crept up and grabbed the little man by his coattails and held him firm. Let it go," the leprechaun shouted. "Not on your life," Jamie said, "not until you show me where you keep your pot of gold." He got a leprechaun. Well, now everyone in Ireland knows that leprechauns make boots and dancing shoes for the fairies who pay for them with gold. And everyone knows that if you kept a leprechaun, he'd pay for his freedom with his pot of gold. But this leprechaun was cleverer than most. "Oh, please, Mr. Mortal Man," he pleaded, "I've just stopped out making fairy shoes, and I only have 1 or 2 pieces of gold in my pot. Won't you take a wish instead?" A wish instead of a pot of gold. "Well, what would I wish for?" Jamie asked. "Me who's about to die of starvation because my wife is sick in bed and can't dig the praties for the winter. And they're such puny praties anyhow." "Well," said the leprechaun, reaching into his pocket, "you could wish for the biggest pratie in the world. It would last all winter, and you wouldn't have to do anything more than plant the seed, water it, and wait." That sounded wonderful to Jamie. "Don't!" he shouted. And as the leprechaun dropped the seed into Jamie's hand, Jamie let go of his coattails and off that leprechaun scampered. When Eileen heard that he had done, she was furious. "Jamie O'Rourke, you're not only the laziest man in Ireland, but a fool as well, giving up a pot of gold for a pratie seed." "Well, I'm going to plant the seed and water it, and you'll see," Jamie said, and out he went. And faith, Eileen did see. In no time at all, the biggest, finest potato plant had sprouted out of the ground, followed by the potato itself. It was so big it pushed up not only all the dirt in the garden, but the garden shed and the corner of the cottage as well. Well, surely now it's ready to dig, Jamie said proudly. It truly was the biggest potato anyone had ever seen. He hoed all around it, but he couldn't dig that Pratie out of the ground. He got a beam and a big rock and tried to pry it out. He pushed and he pushed, but it wouldn't budge. As he was pondering what to do, his neighbors passed by on his way to the village. He couldn't believe his eyes. He couldn't wait to tell everyone in the village what he'd seen, and before he knew it, the hill up to Jamie's was filled with villagers coming to see the big potato. Where did it come from, they all asked. Jamie told them about the lucky night he'd caught the leprechaun and how smart he'd been. Why, anyone could have gotten a pot of gold, he bragged, but the biggest Pratie in the world, well, that took some doing. However did you outsmart a leprechaun, they all asked. Jamie hesitated and scratched his head. Well, we'll help you dig up your Pratie, Jamie, if you tell us how you did it. And they grabbed shovels and hoes, and the whole village started to help Jamie dig up the biggest potato in the world. They dug and they dug, and they pushed and they shoved, until the potato flew up out of its hole and rolled down the hill faster and faster until it reached the bottom, where it bounced up high and came to a stop, wedged between the stone walls on either side of the road. It blocked the village. They couldn't reach each other. What to do now? Whatever are they going to do? That Pratie is so big that no one, no cart, nothing can get by it, the constable complained to Father O'Malley. How's a body to get in or out of the village? What shall we do? The villagers wailed. They all looked at Jamie and said, It's your Pratie. You'll have to move it out of the way. Well, Aline spoke up, there's more than enough Pratie for everyone. Why don't you all take some? Oh, they're going to share with the whole village. Well, the villagers sawed and chopped and carted off huge pieces of potato while Jamie sat on the stone wall and watched. There was Jamie being lazy again, having all of the village take care of that giant potato. All winter long, everyone had potato to eat. And eat until no one wanted to see or hear of potato again. In the spring, Jamie said, I saved a potato eye for a seed and just about time to plant it. Oh no, the villagers all cried. If you promise not to plant it, Jamie, we'll promise before St. Patrick and all the saints to see that you and Eileen always have plenty to cook and eat. We don't want another giant Pratie around here. Jamie smiled and agreed. What a perfect life for a lazy man. And so you see, darling Eileen, Jamie told her, I wasn't such a fool with that leprechaun after all. And Eileen had to admit that Jamie O'Rourke was right. And there's the leprechaun with his pot of gold. And I guess everybody won at the end. The leprechaun kept his gold, Jamie and Eileen got their food, and the villagers all got to share in the giant potato.